Hey, and welcome, msKIRAspeaks. Before we get started, I ask that you watch the videos till the end, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. You'll see the uniform. We're back again for another episode of Bel-Air, Season 1, Episode 6, The Strength to Smile. Michael Ealy, please, poof, be gone, please, and thank you, okay? Anyway, Bel-Air continues not to disappoint. So as the episode opens, we see Will, and he's on his phone. He sees something that he does not like. Meanwhile, the caterer has canceled because they accidentally triple booked. Aunt Viv says Jeffrey's on it, but she's also going to need Hillary's help with the cooking. Ashley comes in and tells them Will is getting roasted on social media by his friends back home. We see Will, and he's looking at folks going in with their Twitter fingers when Aunt Viv knocks. He just wants to be left alone. She tries to talk to him, but he ends up just storming out and saying he's going to talk to Jazz. Now, Will, I know I'm an adult, but you better learn mute, restrict, block, unfollow, any and all of these things to protect your peace. So Uncle Phil, he tries to stop him and have a word, but Will says he has nothing to say. Will, what did Uncle Phil do to you? Kids are rude. Yikes. So Uncle Phil, he continues to call his name, and Will is bouncing in the ball and screams, "What? First of all, you know better than to bounce that ball inside the house. And secondly, who are you wedding?" What did I just say? Kids, rude. So he breaks a vase in the process of all of that. And he's like, oh, because Will knows he has done it now. Aunt Viv is like, oh, not today. And Uncle Phil's like, in my office now. So Will is in the office and he's pacing back and forth, just angry, just mad. And Uncle Phil tells him, you need to get a hold of yourself. Will is still being rude and asking for his space. Uncle Phil reminds him they live in a mansion. There's nothing but space. But Uncle Phil tells him they're not going to walk on eggshells because he and Trey are on bad terms. Will is cursing and everything like, we not boys no more. And Uncle Phil, he still gives him a hug. And this is a lesson that I can learn because hothead sometimes meets hothead. And Uncle Phil, he is cool as a fan, as the other side of the pillow. He tells him he and Aunt Viv know what it's like to leave home and have close friends fall out of their lives. In life, everyone goes through something. You chose to stay and be a part of this family, so you have to consider what everyone else is going through. They clowning me, Uncle Phil. You should hear what they're saying about me online, especially Fox News. Now that gets a laugh out of Will. Welcome to the party, nephew. He asks Will if he is willing to help out with the fundraiser. Will says he can do that. I got you, he says. And we got you. Always remember that. Bel-Air has got me in my feels this episode. Somewhere between Queen Sugar and This Is Us. So now Hillary is at the house and she's trying to get some work done when the doggone prank twins come in. Your girl don't do silly funny. I'm more of a sarcasm kind of girl. And these two would drive me crazy. And it kind of seems like they was driving Hillary crazy too, because she got to cussing and fussing and tell them to go on and get. But they recommend that she pick up the pace before Kylo checks in. He don't play when it comes to deadlines, they say. And he definitely showed us this throughout the episode. No sooner than they walk out, Aunt Viv calls for her help. Aunt Viv and Jeffrey are talking when Hillary comes in with her wagon to the rescue. She's thinking gumbo, wild rice, mini cornbread with the honey butter. Child, I was getting hungry just listening to her talk. So Aunt Viv's like, that sounds amazing, but she's concerned with the time. Hillary says, trust her. She got this. Hillary heads to the kitchen and Aunt Viv, she heads off to give folks their marching orders. She wants Jeffrey to handle something, and Uncle Phil's like, no, I need him to handle a political matter like yesterday. Okay, thanks. So everyone else gets their instructions and they get to work. Uncle Phil wants to remind them that the day is about honoring Gail's memory. All of us should be on our best behavior and set aside any differences we may have with others. Me, I was thinking more along the lines of Will and Carlton, but he's giving Aunt Viv the eye. Aunt Viv is like, why are you looking at me? And she says that she doesn't have any problems with Angela. Will is me. Who's Angela? Fred Wilkes' new wife, Ashley says. They got engaged less than a year after Gail died. Carlton adds. Damn, that was quick, Will says. Oh, okay, so I see where they're going with this, because I was thinking that Fred was a little distant with Lisa because of his job. He's the chief of police, he's busy, and she's a girl and she's a teenager, and sometimes how dads could be. But no, Mr. Fred, he done got a whole new wife. Aunt Viv says it's none of anyone's concern and reminds Uncle Phil that he and Fred also need to play nice in the sandbox. No policy talk. Today is bigger than politics, Uncle Phil says. And then he leaves because he's got to take a call. Politics. So Lisa arrives and she and Carlton are going to go over their final rehearsal. She waves to Will on the way out. He hits her with a little slight head nod. This event is always tough for her, Aunt Viv says. So Hillary, she's in the kitchen and she's chefing it up. She's got on her Gucci apron when Kylo FaceTimes her. He tells her the 24-hour mark is approaching. If she goes a whole day without posting, she'll lose 3% of her followers. She says she had a family matter. Social don't wait, he says. Aunt Viv wanted her to have a job, and now this, in fact, is a whole job. What did she say? Nothing is for free. She says she'll do a tutorial while she's there cooking for the fundraiser. He tells her that's repetitive, and the algorithm hates repetitive. Unless you're sweetie. Hillary says she'll figure it out. He tells her she has 2 hours to go viral. Damn, that's a lie. I could never be the influencer. God bless y'all. YouTube is a lie. So Lisa, she's rehearsing her speech with Carlton, and baby girl is having a hard time keeping it together. He tells her she's doing great, but she doesn't believe any of the words that she's saying. Her mom being gone wasn't the dawn of anything good. The only people that might think that is her dad and Angela. Carlton says her dad was devastated when her mom passed. Lisa says that was then. Now they're having a baby, and when the baby comes, they're going to move into a new house. She feels like Angela is trying to erase her mom. She cries, and Carlton tries to console her, and Will, he sees this. So in the kitchen, we see Ashley, and she's helping Hillary out, and she asks if mom's okay. So Hillary says she's just emotional. Losing Gail was like her losing another sister. Ashley asked what she meant by that. And I think there were actually, was it 3 sisters on the OG Fresh Prince? I can't remember. But that's not what Hillary's talking about anyway. So Hillary says, listen, you old enough now to get the tea. And is she really? Because Ashley's only 12. But don't go around spilling it, she tells her. Gail became like a sister to mom when Aunt Vi and her stopped talking. Ashley asks why they stopped talking. Hillary says if she had to guess, it has something to do with Will. And Uncle Phil, who's sitting over there on the couch, he's just in the earshot, ear hustling the whole time, tells them to drop the whole thing. Like, enough is enough. And we're definitely going to need them to double on back and give us this tea. And it better not be that Aunt Viv is Will's real mom. Please, the show is doing so well. So Hillary asks him how he's doing. And Uncle Phil reveals he just found out that the Times pulled their endorsement. Hillary's like, what the? I thought it was a done deal. He tells them, listen, don't tell your mom. Jeffrey's looking into it. So Lisa, she approaches Will. She was going to, run out real quick, but she just wanted to say a word to him, and he's still, giving her the brush off. She asks him what's up, but Carlton is lurking, and Will sees Carlton is lurking. He tells her, listen, I know today's a tough day for you, so I was kind of just trying to give you your space. And then he mentioned something about her and Carlton being booed up. But Lisa, she's not with the shenanigans for today. It is not about him and Carlton. And Will, he tries to apologize, and she's like, listen, maybe that space was a good idea. And she goes on her way. So a little later, Will, he's at the piano, he's playing, and Aunt Viv's friends, they start to pour in because the event is underway. They compliment her dress, which was looking right, okay? But Miss Joan, she's busy looking for Jeffrey. When Vivian tells her he's not there today, she says she's lucky she brought Reid along to look at. Now, Joan, Why would you invite this man into their home? Like, does she not like Uncle Phil? I'm so confused by her. So Fred, he comes in with his new wife, Angela. And I was thinking like Angela Davis or Angela Bassett, but sis was not a sis. So Aunt Viv, she welcomes him. They make small talk, and then Viv, she whisks Lisa away. Ashley, she brings Lucia and Romario to meet Hillary. And Hillary was like, she's like, oh, these are my friends. And Hillary was like, okay, hey. And Ashley's like, like, and so then Hillary's like, oh, hello, it's good to see you. Lucia, she spots Will playing the piano. Is there anything he's not good at? Romario says. I know, right? Lucia says. Immediately, I was like, uh-oh, Miss Lucia, she got a thing for Will. So Ashley, she sends him towards the pool because she wants to have a little talk with sis and ask her what she should do. Nothing, ma'am. You're 12. But then again, I'm a mom, and that's what big sisters are for. So Hillary tells her to tell her how she feels and be yourself because you're a queen. Child, Kylo's still calling, but Hillary is working. And love Hillary affirming her sister, calling her a queen, because every black girl needs to hear it every now and then. So Carlton, he walks up on the ladies talking. Joan asks Lisa and Carlton if they've picked a college yet. Carlton says Princeton with Stanford as a backup, and Lisa says she wants to swim for Howard. Joan was like, okay, that's my alma mater. And she tells her, listen, if you need a recommendation or anything, she's got her. Aunt Viv chimes in and is like, oh, and you got to pledge that Delta Pi Gamma. And I thought that they were AKAs because she had green on, and I guess because, Uncle Phil's a Phi A, but I guess she's really not affiliated. So we have this Delta Pi Gamma, which I don't know if it's really a sorority. And I'm rambling, so let's get back to the show. But Miss Angela, she's not going to be outdone with talk of college. Oh, no, she grabs her stomach. She says the baby's kicking. So Lisa excuses herself because she is like disgusted. And Carlton, he's right behind her. So the ladies, they continue to make small talk, and Angela is an interior decorator. She had hoped to help Vivian with the event, and Vivian's like, listen, I did not want to upset Fred with the baby coming so soon. And Angela's like, oh no, he's been super supportive about me going back to work as soon as she feels ready once the baby is born. Why should women have to set their passions aside when we start a family? That is the only good thing that Angela said the whole episode, y'all. And it looks like it spoke to Vivian when Joan chimes in, because she makes a comment about, the 15 years or whatever. So Vivian excuses herself to go set up outside, and Angela, she's on her heels. She wants to talk about Lisa. She says she's struggling to find a way to connect with her. Vivian tells her, listen, give her some time. But Angela's like, I wanted to be more involved with the event, and she wants Lisa to know that she supports her. Angela wants to say a few words this year, and Vivian's like, the program, it's a pretty tight schedule. And she suggests she let the day be about Lisa's mother and not herself. So Will, he can clearly see that there's tension. So he comes on over from across the room and he swoops in and he's, introducing himself. And Aunt Viv, she slips away, and, Will is being Will. He's got that charm. He's so much, this actor, Jabari, he's so much like the real Will Smith. He's got the charm. He's like, oh, baby, pointing to her stomach, and he's asking when the baby's doing. And, they're making small talk. When Angela brings up Palm Springs, she says that was her and Fred's first getaway. They had been talking about a baby since then. She'd never been to Palm Springs before then, and just blah, blah, blah. Angela was just like, just going and going and going. He was out there for a LAPD golf tournament, and when he won, he said I was his good luck charm. Now, Aunt Viv, she was just at the next table setting up, so she slides on over. She's like, yeah, I remember when Fred won the tournament. It was 2018. Sure was, Angela says. Well, Gail died in 2019. Baby, Will's face would have been mine. Will looked like, I know you lying. Ooh, child. So Angela, she tries to clean it up, and she's like, that's when we met, and then we didn't start dating until, sometime after that. Then she excuses herself to the ladies' room. And when she steps away, Will was like, did Mr. And like I said, Will Smith mannerisms and everything. 'Cause he was like, did this thing just say what I think she said? Like, I know she didn't. She did, Will. She did. So Aunt Viv, she's like, she needs a minute, and she walks off like, ooh, smoke coming out of her ears, child. So Aunt Viv's friends, they go pay Hillary a visit in the kitchen, just all in her business. I heard you moved out, girl. They ask her how life in the influencer house is going, and one of them says, I know your mom is keeping the pool house waiting for you. I mean, they were just being nosy and just running their mouth. And why did you say that? She's like, if you don't, I'll move in. And Hillary says, listen, no offense to my family, but I'd rather go homeless than move back home. And I totally got where she was coming from with this one, minus the homeless part. So Kylo is still texting her, and she uses an excuse to step away from this conversation because, like I said, they was just being all in the business for no reason. So Aunt Viv was just trying to get a minute. Like I said, she just had smoke coming out of her ears, and she finds Reid in her creative space. He lies at first and says he got lost. I am going to say off the top, I don't like this. He shouldn't be there in the first place, let alone roaming all around these people's home. Anyway, he admits that Joan told him about a piece that she was working on, and he wanted to see it for himself. She's annoyed because she's like, it wasn't ready to be seen. He tells her the painting is ready. You may not be ready, but the painting is ready. Let's test it. Enter it into the silent auction, and if it goes for more than 15 grand, then she shows her art at his gallery. So as they're talking, Uncle Phil, he walks past and he's like, he stops and he walks on and he's like, so who's your little friend? So Vivian, she is stumbling all over her words, and Reid introduces himself. She finally pulls herself together and introduces Phil. Aunt Viv says, they should get back to the event. And as they're about to head out, Reid tells Uncle Phil it's time for Vivian to get back out there. She's going to enter her piece into the silent auction that evening. Phil says he didn't even realize she was painting again. Vivian's like, she caught some inspiration and thought, why not? It's stunning, isn't it? I think it's great, Phil says. But I wasn't buying it. No, Uncle Phil, I wasn't. Perhaps Aunt Viv could have told him she was painting again, because the fact that he didn't know, yikes. But Uncle Phil, I'm going to need you to support your lady and show some interest in her art. Okay? So he says he thinks that the people will love it. These two kiss right in front of Reid, and Reid is going to take the painting out himself. And Uncle Phil's like, we got people for that. Why don't you go do some guest stuff? So Will catches Lisa outside and asks if she's okay. She hates Angela. The day is supposed to be about her mom, but she always makes it about her. Lisa is fed up, child, just fed to the up. Will says it sucks to be reminded of a missing parent. Sometimes it's easier to be angry than to admit it hurts. Will got that knowledge. Lisa asks if he's talking about his dad, and Will's like, I don't even know what the man is like. He left when I was 4. I guess it's better to hold on to the good memories than to focus on the bad ones. So Lisa says, sounds like sound advice. Not as eloquent as Carlton, he jokes. Lisa feels like Carlton uses her vulnerability as a way to get closer to her. Tiptoeing around his emotions is exhausting, and she just wants to work through her own shit without having to navigate his. Will's like, listen, I'm here if you need me to be petty, whatever you need, he got her. But of course, Carlton is standing outside on the terrace, and he hears and sees it all. And you talking about salty? Oh, child. Saltines, Lay's, Rogo, you name it, he got the soul. So Ashley and her friends are playing like an arcade game, and she beats the guy whose name that I now can't remember. Lucia compliments her, and she touches her shoulder. So Ashley asks the little boy to get them some soda so the two of them can talk. And after he leaves, Lucia's like, I think someone likes you. And Ashley calls him dorky. Lucia's like, dorks can be cute. You're kind of a dork. So Ashley's like, thank you. Lucia's like, I'm into someone too. And Ashley, she was about to shoot her shot, y'all. It's kind of a new thing. It started at the roller rink. Your cousin Will is so freaking hot. I saw this coming. The way she talked about him and looked at him when she came in. Ashley's little feelings were so hurt, and you can tell that it was awkward after that. So Uncle Phil, he has his good eye on Reid. And when he walks away from Vivian's painting, Uncle Phil, he walks on over to see that he has made an anonymous bid of 15 grand. Uncle Phil, he makes an anonymous bid of 20 grand. So outside, the music is playing and folks are dancing and the food is ready. And, Will, he has some drinks and he makes his way over and he brings them to Uncle Phil. Jeffrey, he comes over and he whispers something in his ear. It is what it is. Forward we march, he tells Jeffrey. Aunt Viv, she asks him if everything's okay. He assures her everything is okay. He's just dealing with some campaign updates. Will's like, Jeffrey got his 007 thing going on. That made me laugh. Uncle Phil gives them one last, everything is fine. So Lisa, she comes over, she's looking for Carlton to do the reading, and Will's like, okay, you listen, I'll go look for him. So Hillary, she's about to head out, and she finds Ashley sitting on the steps. And let me just take a moment to acknowledge the nice dress that Hillary had on with the slit and the cute little booties. Anywho, Ashley tells her friends just left. First heartbreak, she's into Will. Hillary offers to kick her butt. But child, Will is 16 and that girl has to be around Ashley's age, so it's just a crush and a no. But I get it. It was less about Will and more about Lucia liking guys rather than girls. So Ashley says she told her friend she had things to do when the truth is she didn't know if she could hold it together. Hillary tells her heartbreak is part of life and she's glad she was brave enough to tell her about it. You think you want to share with anybody else? Ashley says she's not sure yet. Hillary's like, listen, I was going to head out, but if you need me, I can stay. Ashley tells her mom and dad are convinced that you're moving back, but I told them it's not going to happen. You're following your dream and you're not going to give up. You're a queen. Like I said, I love the sisterly bonding and the positive affirmations to the black women. So Will, he knocks on Carlton's door, but he's too busy in there doing lines, but never has his door locked. Go figure. So Will, he finally lets himself in. He tells him Lisa needs him. Carlton's like, no, she needs you. He tells him that he heard them talking. And I mean, those were Lisa's words. So I don't know why you're really mad at Will. Will explains he was trying to be there for her as a friend. And in his defense, he really did try to stay away from Lisa, at least a little bit. If you care about her so much, you wouldn't be mad at me for supporting her while you're in here getting all effed up. Now, Carlton gives Will a hard time, but Will could have been told on him from day one. And he could have let them come up there to check on Carlton right now and find them like this, but he didn't. So you need to cut Will a little bit of a break. So Carlton, he starts crying and Will tells him, like, let's calm down. And Carlton, he apologizes and he says he can't go out there like that. So Will slides down to the floor next to Carlton and he offers him that same grace that Uncle Phil gave him earlier in the episode. Carlton, he rests his head on Will and Will tells him to rest up. It's gonna be all right. I got you. I mean, just tears. And I hope that this puts Will and Carlton in a good place. So downstairs, Aunt Viv, she starts to give her speech and then she finishes and she welcomes Lisa to the stage. Lisa starts to speak and decides to read the words that she wrote for her mom instead of a poem because poems were the way that they connected before her mom passed. She welcomes Will to the stage to join her. Fred doesn't look happy about that. They both take turns reading. And at some point she tears up and she doesn't think that she can get through it. And she looks at Will and he shakes his head in affirmation like, you got this, you could do it. Come on, you got this, you could do it. So she finishes strong and there's not a dry eye, including mine. She and Will hug and Carlton sees this from the window. So Aunt Viv, she gives her a hug and Fred walks up with Angela and Fred asks about Carlton and Will's like he wasn't feeling well, he had to take a nap. So Aunt Viv, she sends Ashley to check on him and I wondered what she saw when she went up there, but we won't even get into that this episode because they don't tell us. So Angela, she gives Lisa a hug and says she's really moved to say something. Aunt Viv's like, we already discussed this. Angela says, and I appreciate your opinion, but I ran it by Fred and he says it's fine. So what's the problem? And that's where she messed up right there. What's the problem? Angela was trying to have a moment and Aunt Viv gave her just what she was looking for. When Fred have an event at his own damn house, then he can pick whoever he wants to speak. Uncle Phil steps up, but she's like, nah, I've had enough of this now. This day is not about her. Angela, you are a guest in my house, so you can either kindly sit down or I can kick you out myself. Fred says, they're leaving. Please do, Phil says. Let's go, Lisa, Angela says. I'm staying. Wait, can I? Of course, baby. So Aunt Viv, she walks Lisa on off. Angela heads on her way, and Will's like, yo, Unc, you all right? He's like, I'm good. I'm all right. He walks on over to Fred. Fred starts with the ish right away. You want to know why you lost that endorsement? Phil says he already does. Fred decided to go behind his back and enter the race against him. Black folks having a whole event for this man's deceased wife at his house. And he there just eating up all the food, drinking up all the drinks, just not saying nothing, like they just peachy keen. They just cool. They just boys. He had hoped the day would pass without the news breaking. He says Phil and his platform have changed. Jeffrey walks up and asks, it's all good? And Phil's like, we're fine. Your money, connections, and your muscle here aren't going to save you. I'm going to crush you in that race, Fred says. And this is going to get very interesting because Aunt Viv knows Fred's cheating, so she could tell that to Uncle Phil. But I'm sure Fred is going to go on and find out all of Will's business. Plus, we all know he has the police on his side and probably the conservatives. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to get quite, So Uncle Phil asked Jeffrey to watch him. He's on it. And while you're at it, he brings up another name. It's Reid. I'm on that already too, Jeffrey says. I bet you are. My man, Uncle Phil says. So speaking of Reid, he comes with his old light eyes. He wants her to share that same fire she gave Angela with the world through her arts. He tells her piece sold at the silent auction for 20 grand. She's shocked and she asks who bought it. It doesn't matter. And I guarantee that Uncle Phil buying that is going to be a problem. For better or worse, she is a woman of her word. He congratulates her and tells her he'll be seeing her real soon. And then he finally heads out. So Carlton, he wakes up and he wipes his nose and he finds Uncle Phil sitting at the end of the bed. He asks him if he feels any better. And he tells him he thinks he knows what happened today. What's been happening with him. And Carlton is about to spill his guts, y'all. Uncle Phil says anxiety. Whew. So he says he knows that he's been putting a lot of pressure on himself and that he needs to show himself some grace. Now, Uncle Phil, he seems to know and see everything. So you mean he doesn't know what's going on with his own son, or is he just playing it cool? Or sometimes we as parents, we do miss things sometimes. I'm hoping it's not that. Please put your thoughts down in the comments. So the two have some more conversation about Carlton and Lisa's friendship when Uncle Phil reveals her dad is running against him. Carlton is in disbelief and he apologizes. He asks what he's going to do. Uncle Phil's like, I'm going to kick his ass. Like, what you thought? So Will pops in on Aunt Viv and tells her he saw that West Philly pop out tonight. And I think she handled herself in the situation with as much class as she could, but she definitely put that foot down. So she says it's not her proudest moment, but she would do it again for Lisa. He says Uncle Phil was right. The family really does look out for each other. She says she'd do the same for him. When Gail died, she was so sad, but also angry. Angry she lost her best friend. Angry Fred moved on. Angry at Angela. Sometimes your pain gets misdirected. She says she bets Trey isn't even angry. He's just heartbroken because he lost his best friend. Give him a little time and a little space, and I bet you he'll come around. So Will's like, he never really thought about it like that. So, they wrap up their conversation and he heads on out to look for Lisa. We see Hillary and she's in the influencer house talking about turning up the heat in the kitchen. Sis is in some lingerie looking like it's her wedding night. And she looks beautiful and her body is amazing. But I'm sitting there like, I don't know how well this is going to go over with your father running from the DA. But that's my thoughts. Don't jump all over me. Don't jump all over me. So Will finds Lisa sitting outside by the pool and she's laughing to herself about Aunt Viv coming for Angela. Will laughs and she said everything her mom would have wanted her to say, everything that she's been wanting to say. It just feels good to have people that have your back. Word, Will says. So he sits down at the pool and he sticks his toes in the water with her. She thanks him for stepping in for Carlton, and Will says, it was Carlton's idea. He knows how much the event meant to her and they weren't just going to leave her hanging. So Lisa's like, she misses vibing with him. He admits he misses it too. She asks him why he's been so distant lately. Will tells her he doesn't want to be another person in her life that she has to navigate around. He tells her she's amazing, but he doesn't want to bring any more drama into her life. So if he has to back off and give her space, he will, even if it hurts. She asks him if that's what he wants. Hell no. She says she doesn't either, and they kiss. For real this time, y'all, because KO, thanks KO, had to correct me. The first episode was supposed to be Carlton's perspective, so they actually didn't kiss, but now they did kiss. And that is where we end the episode. So what did you guys think about the episode? Please drop your thoughts down in the comments. Now, I like Will and I like Lisa, but I hate that they made her Carlton's ex, and now she and Will are supposed to have a thing, and it just doesn't sit right with your girl. Other than that, I am loving the show. I think that it was a good look that they made it a drama instead of trying to, replicate the original, but you still get that essence, of the OG. And that's what makes it pop, I think. I love it. If I haven't said this already, I've been ranting and raving over this show since it came on, so I may be repeating myself. Please excuse your girl. Anyway, if you have made it this far, put a purple heart emoji down in the comments for Mama Gail. I hope you'll come back and join me for my review of episode 7. While you're here, please check out some of my other content. Thank you. And before you go, like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. Peace.